Sometime when the 2020 two geeks from social media formed an alliance to bring you geek news from across the Nostalgiaverse. They are Jacob's Toys and SuperSorrell. Bringing you a weekly live show, toy news, TV and movie reviews, special guests, opinions, tangents, and bad impressions, reveals, releases, thoughts, maybe dreams. Now prepare for the Geek Week in Review.
Welcome back to the Geek Week in Review with me, Jacob's Toys, and of course the wonderful one and only SuperSorrell. This is Geek Week in Review, episode 116. We are doing a Disney D23 special today, but there are a few other things that we need to touch on, isn't there? Because it's been quite a busy, eventful week. So we're going to try our best to get through all of it. If you're new to the show, please like, share, subscribe, all of those things. There's a little box down there with our social handles, so go give them a follow. If you're watching us on repeat or rerun or whatever it's called, hello. Try to tune in live next time. It's a lot of fun. And if you're here and you're in the chat, hope that you're well. Let's just give a couple of shout outs. We've got Stug, Andy Roberts, Andy H, Shelley. We will get to the comments and the ongoing talk as we get through. How you been, Sorrel? Good week?
Yeah, really good, man. You?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Quite a few things going on. It's weird. Yeah, it's been a really weird week because it seemed really quiet last week, and then there is loads going on this week. Absolutely loads going on this week. Yeah, so we've got HasLabs to talk about, we've got Ahsoka to talk about, and then of course our big kind of main part of the show is going to be all about Disney D23. Comment-wise, people all saying hello and enjoying the weekend. It's been a hot weekend. It's been a sticky weekend, let's be perfectly honest with you. Hence the reason why someone's attacked Sorrel with a razor, as Andy H said there in the comments, because it's been hot, you know. Viz, quickly, you're saying, did I get a Disney Plus Wave 5 Hydra Stomper bath yet? Nope, I haven't had any turn up yet, but I'm pretty sure I'll get them at some point. Ahsoka, wow, Shelley said. Which way should we do this? Should we do toys first or Ahsoka first? How do you want to play it?
Let's go Ahsoka first. I think that's going to take some time.
Let's talk about Ahsoka. What an episode. What an episode. That was yeah. I've loved it. I've loved it since the beginning. I'm not going to lie. I've really got on board with this show.
This is the part where us that sat and watched the cartoons can look at the people that called them childish and go, we know what's going on, you've got no clue.
Yeah. You know what? I've said this before. I came really late to the Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff. I watched them all after I got Disney Plus. I kind of dipped in and out and kind of watched a few key episodes, so I knew certain characters and whatnot. But then when we got Disney Plus, that's when I was kind of like, you know what? It's all there. It's all there to watch. I've got to kind of get on board. And I was gutted that I kind of left it that long because it is really, good. It really, really is good. But yeah, it is Rebels season 5. Let's be honest with you. It's just Rebels season 5. But I just thought everything about this episode was good. Like the story, the kind of the arcs that the characters went on, the ending. It's the little bit of the end. Where are we going? Let's have a look. Joby1 in the comments saying Ahsoka is wild. Stug saying amazing episode. Episode 5 is going to be in the cinema. Is that right?
I don't know. So
first I've heard of it. If you know any more about that, Stug, then drop it in the comments.
Episode 5 is going to be a mental episode because Dave Filoni is directing it, and obviously after that ending, Dave Filoni is obviously in charge of Ahsoka's storyline. It's it. She's his baby kind of thing. So he's directing and sort of like putting the final touches to the storyline. So it's going to be a good episode. It's probably going to be full of information for us.
Isn't he doing the first, the last, and the 5th?
The middle. Yeah.
So what is it? 10 episode run?
I have no idea overall. I don't think it's that many. I don't think. Let me double check.
Yeah. Joby1 said that screenings of episode 5 in limited theaters here in the States for sure. That's interesting. Okay. That is interesting.
Ahsoka's set to run for 8 episodes.
Oh, okay. So 5's not quite in the middle, which would have made the episode 4 obviously the mid-season episode, which makes sense with that big reveal at the end. Yeah. What did you make of that? Anyone that hasn't seen Ahsoka, which I'm pretty sure isn't going to be in our audience anyway, a couple of spoilers ahead, but Anakin Skywalker turning up. It was obvious he was going to turn up, wasn't it? Like we knew he was going to be there in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah. The episode, of course, is called Fallen Jedi as well. It refers to many things in there, which I kind of like. But yeah, that ending bit with Anakin, that was amazing. Obviously, in canon, because a lot of people kicked off online. I'm like, no, go back and rewatch it all properly in canon, because in the original, well, in the new versions of the original trilogy, when Darth Vader dies, he turns back into young Anakin. The moment of innocence lost and all that stuff, as they called it. So he's in the Force. He's shown as his younger Jedi self.
Yes.
Rather than sort of an old man version. So that's how he perceives himself. That ending, how did you get it? Like, how did you perceive it? Because I perceive that as the world between worlds from what we've seen previously in Rebels and things like that. Or did you perceive that as she's dead?
She's not dead. That's how I saw it as the kind of world between worlds, if that's what we're calling it. Like we've seen it quite a lot in the TV shows, haven't we? In the animations and stuff. I did wonder whether everything is what it seems, if that makes sense. Because obviously we've all taken it on face value that is Anakin, but it might not be. Let's be honest. There's kind of lots at play.
Oh yeah. So the ending as well. Did you not those final 3 chords? Did you pick up on that?
No.
So if you watch it, it shows Anakin and she's shocked to see him, and as the episode goes to black, it goes dun 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 dun. It plays the Imperial March, meaning Darth Vader, because that was Darth Vader's tune, not Anakin's. So there is something else at play here. I don't think it's just literal a ghost version of Anakin, because ghosts are in the world between worlds, as far as we're aware. That hasn't been introduced to canon yet. But I suppose Dave Filoni could introduce a lot. It's his canon; he can do what he wants. But I think there's something else at play. The fact that we're dealing with Morrigan, and she's a Night Sister and a witch. Yeah. And let's not forget, we saw obviously the Inquisitor that everybody was praying was somebody cool get absolutely sliced to bits. But did you see the stuff that came out of him?
Yeah, it was just like dust.
Yeah, so he's been brought back to life by the Night Sister. So that is somebody. It's a fallen Jedi of some description, or a fallen Sith of some description. And Morgan's bringing that back from the dead like a necromancer. So when he dies, he turns back to that green spectral dust.
Yeah. I was kind of like, first of all, I was like, what? As in, like, what? It's just a nobody. But then as I thought about it, I was like, oh, no, hang on, Night Sisters, all that kind of stuff. And I think there's, from the animated shows, and also from the computer game as well, there's so much about the Night Sisters and the Night Brothers and that kind of stuff that I think is kind of lost if you don't know that backstory. So yeah, I think that could be something, but I don't know. We'll see who or where or when that goes. Sabine obviously turning heel a little bit, kind of, giving up on kind of Ahsoka's path to rescue Ezra. I thought that was quite interesting. That it was kind of like the conflict between, you following what your master's kind of set out, or are you chasing after the friend that you haven't seen since you were animated? Right. So it was since you were cartoons. But yeah. Couple of quotes in here. Andy H. In hindsight, I've stopped thinking that Marek is Ezra. But with what Sorrell was saying about the necromancer side of things, it might have been his corpse, if he is dead.
It can't be Ezra. It can't be. It just can't be.
It's not Ezra. Let's be honest. It's definitely not Starkiller. It's no. Joe one saying Ahsoka is having a force vision of some kind here and prophesizing her mind's vision of Anakin regarding. Yeah. So obviously that could work as well. That's how she sees him. That's kind of how I saw it, to be honest with you. That she saw him as she would see him.
Yep.
Another one there, Alex Ryan. How you doing, Alex? It's rumored that the ending is of our first taste into time travel within the Force, which is a bit dull. These spin-offs never go forward. They don't, but the thing you do have to remember is that there is the movie that these are all leading to. So these are all, in a way, prequel stories to the movie that they're going to be putting together. So how it ends is going to have an effect on that film.
So let's also just touch on the fact that we saw Jason again in the cockpit with Hera, and obviously he's very force sensitive. He says in that, I got a bad feeling about this. He used the classic line, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's obviously felt something as well, which is cool. So something's going on. I personally think Ahsoka, because when Ezra went to the world between worlds, he pulled Ahsoka out through time, and he basically grabbed her by the shoulder and pulled her backwards as she fell into the portal. Anakin's a Force ghost, and can he interact with humans? Can he interact and pull someone in? So I don't think it's that. I think they want us to believe it's that weird place that Ezra went to. I don't think it is. I think she's somewhere on a rock somewhere on that bit that we saw, passed out, and she's having a complete little Force vision in her brain.
Yeah,
and she'll come round. Like Anakin will send her back, and she'll come round and get up and carry on. I read it as a kind of "it's not your time to die" kind of thing, kind of moment. It's that whole you still got a job to do. You need to get back steps.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see where that goes, because obviously in the next episode we'll see what the reason for this is. But yeah, she's definitely not dead. They're not just going to kill her off.
However, it could be cool if there is a time travel element and she's got to go back and set something right to fix the future. That would be something cool to explore. Yeah.
Can you imagine if she went back to like the beginning of Clone Wars and stuff?
Well, I had this little thinking, right? You know, when they made the new Star Trek films, and basically J.J. Abrams didn't want to affect what happened in the future, so he made his own timeline.
Yeah.
That branched off from the original. What if this is Filoni's way of going, I'm not a big fan of Last Jedi and Force Awakens, and this is where I'm going to taper off now in my own little universe. See ya. And he creates an alternate timeline that doesn't ever end up at the Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and Disney can continue with their own thing, but Filoni's got his own Mandoverse going on, and he can continue that forever then.
That would work.
No, and it would also write off the other film. Then fans can choose which canon they want to follow. Which timeline they choose as canon. Because everyone's got their own head canon, as they call it anyway, as Ryan used to call it. Everyone's got their own version of their own canon in their own brain. So
that would work quite nicely. I think that's actually a good shout. If there is that time kind of timey-wimey stuff, as Doctor said, then I hope it's that. That would be quite fun. Mm-hmm. Having a look at a couple of the other comments, just people saying about Marek being a shock. Someone saying that Annie H saying that Marek was actually the 8th brother. Stug, we got to say this one: Ahsoka versus Baylan was great. That was an incredible duel. I just love the different styles and the different, the two very different styles, but also kind of switching between styles themselves.
Yeah,
it was just a very good lightsaber fight, and I find it cool that we get the opportunity to have these really good lightsaber fights, because when you actually look back at the first ones in the original trilogy, they're not great. they're not as epic as they are now. But yeah, there we go. And Alex as well said there, if we do get a flashback of live action Kanan would be cool.
Yeah. Just go back to what you were saying about the fight. If you're a fan of like the 7 forms of lightsaber combat, if you've ever looked into it and stuff, every movement they did were basically, he was basically taunting her basically with different styles.
It was, wasn't it? It was really
That was the whole point. He was messing with her to kind of like, he went from let's call it the Shicho stance, which is what Master Windu used. And then he changed it to the Qui-Gon Jinn stance. He changed it up to try to show her that he knows like everything she could throw at him kind of thing. And that's when she switched to that new sort of like almost like a samurai kind of hands out with the firm grip and stuff. Like
looked really good on her.
Yeah, it's where she seems to be going with it, with the one saber rather than the two.
Yeah.
It's like a matured version of her original style, isn't it?
Yeah, I did find that odd. It's like you've kind of got this other lightsaber just flapping around on your belt, and you've not even had to use it. But I think that says, like you say, for her journey, if you like. I really like the line as well where he said, like, Anakin spoke highly of you, and she's like, funny, he never mentioned you, and I just thought that was such like what a like proper diss. But I kind of hope as well in this flashback or this ghost or force ghost or whatever, whichever way around it is, I hope we get a bit more of a backstory into how they knew each other, because we've not really got a lot, have we?
Well, I don't think he does. Like he kind of mentions in the episode, everyone knew of Anakin because obviously it was the chosen one, and he was going to end the prophecy and all this kind of stuff. So everyone kind of knew who he was, and then when he turned to the dark side and stuff, he must have been the most well-known Jedi in the temple, to be honest.
It was just the way that Balin said that, he spoke highly of you, made it sound like that they had conversations about her.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. I'd love to see someone explain. That'd be awesome. Seeing them to interact.
It would be cool, but hey ho.
Personally, the way, have you noticed that Shin is slowly getting more and more darker, more irate? She's getting angry as every episode goes. She's starting to cheat, and she's not following the path that he is. He's got a lot more, even though he's a bad guy, he's still got that Jedi mentality. Like at the end, he wouldn't let her kill her. He was like, no, I've promised her she'll meet him again, kind of thing. And he's still got that kind of honor in him. He's still got that Jedi-ness, whereas she is just straight up Sith. She's complete badass. I've got a feeling she'll kill him. Because obviously the whole thing of the Sith was, there can only be two, and eventually the master the apprentice wants to be the master, and I think she will kill him in the later episodes. I don't think the fight will ever come down to Ahsoka and him or Sabine and him. It'll literally come down to them. It'll be Shin versus him, and then Sabine will have to take out Shin.
That'd be cool. I think Sabine's definitely going to take her out, and that'll be her kind of like evolution, if you like, of apprentice and stuff like that. Will be her stepping up ground. But no, good episode, really good episode. Which kind of takes us on to HasLab, the ghost. Speaking of the flashback of live action Kanan as well, because the ghost did get funded.
It did.
Fully funded, and every single tier got unlocked, which was
21,768 backers.
That was insane. And the amount, what did they need? They needed 17,000 for
it was 8,000 for the original, and then to finally get all of the unlocks, I did scroll down
17. I'm sure it's 17.
It probably will a bit. Scroll faster. So I think you're right. I can't find it.
I think off the top of my head.
There we go. So 11,000 for Ezra. Yeah. Then it was 14,000 for Kanan. Then it was 17,000 for Zeb.
That's it. Because it literally hit Kanan with like a day to go, and then in that last day it surpassed the 17,000, which is insane. But I do think that the Ahsoka hype played on that a little bit. Like, when you have such a good episode leading up to the end of that campaign, it was always going to have a little bit of a spurt at the end. But yeah, insane. But the reason I mentioned the Kanan thing is that we've said previously that these figures look like live action versions of the characters as opposed to the animated ones. Like Ezra is a dead giveaway. It looks more like the live action version than it does the Rebels version. Obviously, the Hera is very much the live action version. So it's interesting to know whether there's some little insight that's going on.
That would be cool.
But yeah, Shelley said, "How do people afford these HasLabs?" It's beyond me. I think a lot of people sell kidneys. It's I mean, that was an insanely priced one, wasn't it? What was the price of? Was it 500?
Yeah, 499.99, so 500. Estimated shipping of later this year. They're saying fall 2024. I don't see how. But okay.
No, it's full 2024. That's like next year.
Oh, 2024. Sorry, ignore me.
Yeah,
It's been a long day. Long day.
I was going to say, don't throw a year away. Stug said there, Shelley, most people save up for a year, which is true. You can kind of gauge the price that the HasLabs are coming in at, and then people are saving up and putting money aside and that throughout the year. And then if it's something they like, they back it, and if it's something they don't, then they've got a nice little bit of money. But yeah, I think it's a decent one. I'm happy for the people that have backed it, that they're going to get all of the tiers. I think that the tiers in that one in particular really did play a part to the overall offering. So it would have been a shame for them to get 3 of the crew members and then miss out on Zeb. So I'm pleased that many people came out of the woodwork at the end. Let's talk about the Marvel one though, because then shortly after the Ghost closed, Marvel had a live stream on the Friday where they announced their HasLab, and I mean, nobody called it. Nobody guessed it at all. It was a complete mystery to everyone. And it was Giant Man. it was a great big figure. What's your thoughts on it?
It's a Giant Man. It's what it is. I'm not that excited for it, I'm going to be honest. There's no hype there for me whatsoever.
It is a giant man. That is essentially it. It's a little bit shorter than the Sentinel. Nowhere near as big as Galactus. And the price tag is £200.
I've got to say it again. When they did the Sentinel and they kind of announced it, and then they brought some tiers on later on once people started backing, I preferred that approach. I don't like this whole approach now where we go into it and we know what the tiers are from step one.
No.
Even though the Sentinel, they probably had it planned and they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
I think I just prefer how they went about it. It felt more natural. Like, okay, because you guys have been so excited, we've got more tiers to share. And that felt more natural, whereas this is like, well, they clearly want 14,000 backers, not 10. Because that's where all the stuff is. Yeah. So why not just say it? You know what I mean? Yeah. Why not just come out with it from day one? I don't get it.
It's an interesting one. I mean, I did a video on it, just sort of talking about like my initial thoughts on it, but I've kind of sat on it for a few days as well. And there are a lot of positives. Like the Marvel team have definitely taken some learning from their previous one, and they've kind of given the fans what they wanted, which ultimately for a crowdfunding project, that's what you want. You want it to kind of be what people are wanting. And there's a lot of hype about it. A lot of people are very much excited for it. And for it to come out at £200 as opposed to the 350, 400, all of the previous Marvel ones have been higher priced. So for it to be, I want to say an affordable amount at £200, but 200
is definitely on the mark of like easier to fund and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah,
easier to get. And I hope they do get all the backing stuff, because I mean the zombie face is cool, so then you can put it with all your Marvel zombie stuff.
Well, so, see, this is where that's my only issue. The zombie face is my only issue, because it's proper cool and it looks wicked, but the zombie face is much more like the What If character, whereas the zombie in the Marvel Zombies had like whited out eyes and was a lot more kind of grotesque looking. So if you're a comic book collector, you're not necessarily going to collect the Marvel What If figures, but the zombie face kind of turns it into a Marvel What If zombie Giant Man. So I was kind of like, a little bit of white paint on those eyes and you're a good one. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, they've listened, because the tiers are not massive. They're not things that are going to make or break people's decisions. And I think that if they do reach them, great. If they don't, people aren't going to kind of pull out. But yeah, overall, I think it's a really good offering. I really do. There we go.
Cool.
Alex Ryan,
let's not forget. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, just replying to Shelley's comment, HasLab's an investment. You know there's one every year. It's unknown what. You just got to commit, put at least £400 away and hope it's not Ghost Rider's car.
I was just going to make the silly comment of, and this time we get articulated finger.
Yeah. The thing is they showcased it because they finished off their story, didn't they, in the live stream with the photographs. And the last picture I thought was fantastic. The way he's got that really smirking grin and he's holding the little Ultron head in his fingers like a raisin, like, you know. But forgetting that articulation and being able to do that, you know, there's going to be so many middle finger pictures. That's all it's going to be. Loads of people doing middle fingers. It's like we are a very immature bunch of people, action figure collectors, and you give us an articulated hand, we're going to give a middle finger picture. But yeah, I think it's good. I don't know. It'd be cool to have one in my collection, but I don't need one in my collection. If that makes sense. I'm not, because Giant Man's one of them characters that, because he goes big and small, I have him in my collection, but just not in giant form. So it's kind of like, yeah. What did surprise me though is there's a lot of people out there going, oh no, I've got the Toy Biz Build-A-Figure, I'm sticking with that. That retails at like best part of 200 quid anyway on the aftermarket, and it's nowhere near as big and nowhere near as like detailed. So if you're gonna like sell that one for a third of the price and get the new one, but I don't know. You can't please everyone.
Yeah, and the thing is, let's not forget, we are only 3 weeks away from New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
New York Toy Fair. New York Toy Fair first, which is where they announced the TOTY, the Toy of the Year. Hasbro is going to be there for that. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see what they might have showcased at the Toy Fair if it's not going to be either of these HasLabs. Clearly.
Yeah. No, that's it. And they've taken, we'll get on to D23 in a minute, but they've taken the Giant Man prototype to D23 to showcase him there. So, you know, the marketing for this project is obviously going to be quite intense. But they're already nearly halfway there, and it's only been a couple of days. It's literally been a weekend, so it will get funded. I think they can put in minimal effort, and I think if I was a gambling man, I'd say that's probably what they were aiming for, because they had to do so much picking up with that HasLab Ghost Rider that must have worn them out. Do you know what I mean? Like all of that marketing and all of that kind of explaining why things were what they were. Whereas with this, they've kind of gone like 10,000 people, it's 200 quid or $200. You either want it or you don't, sort of thing. Interesting though, Alex Ryan there again said we got PulseCon on the 22nd, and they've already teased the No Way Home wave. That's definitely what they're going to be showing at PulseCon. There is no two ways about it. That is going to be a Spider-Man themed panel. I've lost your sound, Sorrel. Can't hear you, mate. he's gone. He's gone. We've lost him. He's left us. He's there. No. Go out and come back in. We lost you. It's just me. Here we go. But yeah, I mean, I did do a video on the I did do a video on the HasLab. I always like kind of doing a bit of coverage on the HasLab projects anyway, especially the Marvel ones. And yeah, I mean, it's decent. It's decent. Have we got him back?
Can you hear me
there
now?
He is. There he is. Yeah, here we can. You went all pixelated and quiet. I was like, oh, here we go.
Uh-oh.
Yes, but anyway, shall we move on and talk? Should we talk D23?
Let's hope the computer holds out. Disney are clearly trying to take me down for saying bad things. Let's do this.
So this is going to be our spotlight of the week. This week's spotlight of the week, without a doubt, is going to be D23, which is Disney's very own convention. Do we call it a convention? Expo?
So this is the thing, right? D23 started back as a little expo for people that were into the parks. And it was never broadcasted. It was literally either held in California or held in Orlando, Florida. And it was just for the, like your your vloggers that go out every day to the parks that live local. It was made for them and the big fans and those that would willingly fly out to Florida for a couple of days to see the D23 Expo.
Yeah.
However, it's been getting bigger and bigger every year to the point where this year they've actually announced that the D23 event for 2024 is going to be held in Anaheim, California over 3 days at the, I think it's the Toyota Center. Wow. And it's going to be open to the public, and it's going to be fully there's going to be a lot more going on there, a lot more announcements. Because this year was a bit smaller, and we only really got a few, a lot of park stuff and then a few bits here and there. But next year it's going to be Disney's convention for themselves.
That's pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome. Why is it called D23? Do you know?
I did know. I'm going to quickly Google.
Because for a second I was
yes. Right. The D refers to Disney at 23 for 1923, which is when the company was founded. So it's Disney 1923 or D23 for short. When it first came out, it was a magazine because I've still got issue 1. I've still got it from when I went to Florida.
Really?
And it came with the big D badge that all the cast members wear, and it was a massive thing when it first came out. They tried to make it this monthly, it was like a quarterly magazine where Disney would update you via magazine on what's happening in the parks.
That's cool.
It's gone from that to a convention.
That's mad. That is mad. It's just annoyingly at the time of year it is. Well, it depends. I mean, if you are flying out or something, like if you're from the UK and you're going out to the States, it's quite a cool time because you've got D23, you've got New York Comic Con, you've got New York Toy Fair. Sorry, you've got all that kind of stuff in and around the same time of year. So it's just, I was questioning why it's called D23 because I was like, hang on, last year it's called D23, so it's not the year, but obviously it is the year, but 1923. So that makes sense. Thanks very much.
Yeah, Disney put an announcement on X or Twitter. Just put in the D23 Ultimate Disney Fan Event coming to Anaheim August 9th, 10th, and 11th, 2024. We're taking all the things that you love about the D23 Expo, the exhibits, the shows, the shopping, to a whole new level. It's no longer just an expo. It's going to be Disney's fan event like no other. See you next year.
That's cool.
So, and they've now attached all the logos on the bottom, which weren't there before. So now it says Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographic, and Hasbro. So they've got all the big names on there. So that, if they honestly had like a fan expo so close to something like New York Comic Con or San Diego, this would rule because they've got Star Wars and Marvel.
Yeah.
If they got people like Feige and that to start doing panels and things at D23,
that's their aim, though, isn't it?
Of course it is. Yeah.
That's their aim. And interestingly, like a lot of people have been kind of poking at SDCC, saying it's kind of not what it used to be, and all the rest of it. So, like anything, you have something at the top for a certain amount of time, unless it develops and grows, it does flake and something replaces it. So D23 might be that new main convention of the year.
One of the cool things they do is because they either hold it in California or in Florida, hopefully they'll bring it to like Paris or something in the future. But because it's either in California or Florida, they tie the parks in. So like there was a whole like after party after the event that was in the Magic Kingdom, because obviously it's in the Contemporary Resort, which is attached to the Magic Kingdom via the monorail system. So basically, you went to the convention center all day, got the monorail straight to the parks, and then like enjoyed it with all the rest of the D23 like fans and stuff. And they're like a massive party.
It's a shame it's not in Florida though, because that's probably where I'll be next summer.
Yeah,
and it's a shame it's not in Florida. But I'm not changing. I like my Florida park. I just Alex again in the chat. Sorry, I'm just picking up on Alex's comments tonight, but said there's possibility that Disney is going to limit reveals after the year they've had with Indiana Jones flopping and put in Disney Plus shows to physical media. Reason I wanted to comment on focus on that comment isn't so much about Indiana Jones flopping, because it didn't do as well as it should have, but Harrison's an old man now, it wasn't ever going to be a Temple of Doom. But I do find it interesting that some of those Disney Plus shows have gone on to physical media recently. We had WandaVision, we had Loki, obviously Mandalorian, like all of those shows going on to Blu-ray and DVD, which is a bold move, really. Like, I've seen a lot of comments online with people kind of saying, "Oh, Disney are just taking the mick now," and all that kind of stuff. But it didn't even bother me. I was kind of like, "Oh, I saw that 3 years ago." You know, like,
you got to remember, before the days of streaming and stuff, Disney would literally re-release films into the cinema every 10 years. So basically, like, if you remember as a kid growing up, we probably got to see like Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. We saw all them on the big screen because there wasn't physical media was VHS. It wasn't a thing really back when we were growing up. So the films were at the cinema, and then they would re-release them on like every sort of 10 years. But then as soon as VHS came about, then that was a license for Disney to print money. Same when DVD came around, then Blu-ray came around. And now they're just doing the same thing again with, updated 4K. And I don't blame them. They've got so many movies that are classed as the classics and that all kids want to see and buy and own.
Yeah.
It is a license to print money.
It's presence as well, I think. Just like, you look at something like Mandalorian. Mandalorian is such a huge thing. It's got so many new fans on and all that kind of stuff. You'll get aunts and grandparents and that kind of going, you know what, that's what I'll get them for birthday. So even if they've seen it, they then get an opportunity to give them something that's related to their fandom or whatever. I'm not going to read it out, Shelley, but someone was going to say it. I didn't mind Indiana Jones. Did you catch it yet, or did you?
I've not got around to it. I'm not bothered. I'll catch it at some point. You can wait. There's bigger things to fry.
Yeah. Right, let's go on to what we've actually got coming out.
Segue there. I Am Groot, a new series, is now streaming. It was announced at D23, but obviously it's already starting to stream now. Came out on the 6th. So I Am Groot, all new episodes of that.
Did you watch it?
Not yet.
It's
so much TV, so little time.
5 episodes, and they are literally 4 minutes with credits. They are so short. Personally, my nutshell review, very good, very much in the vein of what we had last time. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first series, just because the first series kind of came across as so original, whereas this is just 5 more episodes in that vein. But yeah, definitely worth watching, and I've watched them. My kids love them, absolutely love them. So I've probably watched all of those new episodes 4 or 5 times already.
So Disney's Gargoyles, the original NES game, is coming back remastered for modern consoles. So recently, Disney brought back Aladdin, Lion King, Jungle Book, all the cool games that we remember as a kid. Gargoyles being one of them as well for the SNES. It's coming back remastered.
Awesome. Interesting that they've not done it on PS5 and the newer consoles.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. It could be limitations due to the software. You're gonna think it's an old game. They're basically rendering up to a new quality.
Did you ever have Quackshot?
Is that the one where you shoot the duck?
No. It was called Quackshot. It was Donald Duck, like Donald Indiana Jones crossover kind of thing.
No.
I'm just gonna Google it while we're talking about the next thing.
Goosebumps coming Friday the 13th in October. The new TV show is not an anthology series. Sadly, it's not going to be different stories per episode like the original Goosebumps. It's going to be one continuous story, and these are the kids that are a part of it. They released a 20-second trailer at D23, which is online to view right now, called Don't Blink, and that's this picture here that we've got, where they're all where their eyes are all sort of like blacked over and sort of like in some form of trance. It's not in the same world as the movies or anything like that. It's its own standalone thing. It's just under the Goosebumps umbrella, which is cool because R.L. Stein's actually releasing a new line of Goosebumps books this October as well. So they've got the new TV series coming out, and a whole new series of Goosebumps novels are coming out as well. So Goosebumps is back, which is awesome, really.
My kids. I love a good kind of kids horror kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm hoping that if they're going to bring it back and do something with it, I'm hoping that we get some, merch and stuff. Because it's Goosebumps merch, obviously, was a thing when I were a kid, but I don't remember owning much of it. So, like now as an adult, I kind of want stuff.
Yeah, that's Quackshot.
Right, okay. I never owned that one.
It was a really good game. Donald as like a Indiana Jones type thing with a plunger gun. It was just such a good game. That's the one I'm waiting to be remastered.
It'll come. It'll come. They seem to be doing them all slowly but surely.
Yeah, I really like that Goosebumps has going back to Goosebumps. I really like the fact that they've kind of matured it. That's the right word, because it was always quite grown up anyway. The kind of books when you actually read them, they were like teen books, weren't they? But they've kind of grown up a little bit with us. So I'm really enjoying the physical media.
Haunted Mansion will be coming to streaming services October 4th.
Yeah.
Didn't have a really decent turnout at the cinema. Don't think many cinemas got on board with it here in the UK. Apparently did quite well in America. Here in the UK, cinemas didn't really get on board with it. It was kind of seen as one of those weird Disney movies based on a ride that nobody cares about in England unless you've been to Florida. So
yeah. I mentioned this to my wife earlier. I was like, "Oh, Haunted Mansion streaming on October 4th," and she went, "I've never been on that ride." And I went, "What?" That's just not what. But she doesn't really like horror stuff. And every time we've been to Florida together, I've taken the kids on it, or they were too young to go on it, or whatever. And then I just thought, hang on, I just assumed there was like a rite of passage. Like anyone that goes to Florida goes on Haunted Mansion, but yeah, she hasn't.
When I first took my daughter to Disneyland Paris when she was 2, that was our first trip to Disney with her, and we went to Disneyland Paris and we did Phantom Manor, which is a lot darker than Florida's version. It's a lot scarier. And we took her on that, and she was 2. And the cast members were like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's see what happens." Worst is that she's going to scream the place down for 20 minutes. It'll be fine. So she went on. We thought, right, let's see what happens. She fell asleep. My daughter is Wednesday Addams. She literally felt so at home in the Haunted Mansion that she slept the whole way around. We got off, and the woman's like, "Well, she found that boring." I'm like, "Yeah, clearly."
That's amazing. That is amazing.
So yeah, Haunted Mansion coming October 4th. It's a good time to do it, just in time for spooky season. They can include it as a part of their Hallow Stream event that they're going to do. Disney can drop a boatload of new merchandise just in time for the big day. So I see why they've done it.
I'm excited for it. I can't wait to get that for that to stream.
So
speaking of streaming, while you're getting the next picture up, off topic a little bit, but Matrix 4 is now streaming on Prime. I got an email about it. That came out of nowhere and came out quickly.
Yeah, Matrix 4 kind of rubbish. Have you seen it?
Yeah. No, I'm going to watch it now. So.
Enjoy. So the new adventures are coming in 2024 for Star Tours at Disneyland Paris, Disneyland, and Disney World. So they're going to add brand new adventures, and I've got a little bit more information here from the Disney press team. Here it is. Ahsoka will become part of the Star Tours attraction globally next spring. So it's going to be Ahsoka and the Rebels basically are joining. So it'll probably be you'll probably get intercepted by Hera, and then it'll be Ahsoka as the Force ghosty bit.
Yeah. It makes sense. It does make sense because, I mean, even when we went to Paris earlier in the year, we saw both versions of the ride, and even the newer version felt quite old with like the Kylo Ren story and everything, because it was from that trilogy that came out quite a while ago now. So it didn't feel, it didn't feel new. So I'm pleased that they're going to add another one, and the Rebels storyline works really well with the Star Tours ride. I think it will work really well. I'd want to risk saying it could be the better of the stories.
Oh, 100%. I love Star Tours. I think, anything, fun. The new ones that have done are great. I just can't wait to see what they do next. And sticking with Disney parks and Star Wars, this one literally blew me away because she looks absolutely stunning and amazing. Hera is now meetable in the parks. She was been featured now along with Chopper,
who hasn't featured much in the show.
No,
which I'm really surprised about.
Hera and Chopper are the newest characters to be introduced to Disney's Galaxy's Edge, and she actually looks really good.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, Chopper looks a little bit too clean.
Yeah, he does. It looks very new, doesn't it?
But that's actually, There's
a lot of people on the internet that are saying she looks slightly better than the actual actress in the TV show.
You know what? My initial thoughts when you put it up was that it didn't look like Hera because I'm looking at the one in the TV show. But thinking about how she looks in the TV, like in the animated series, this actor does actually look a lot better.
So yeah, a lot of people who were commenting on that. But yeah, Chopper is a bit clean. He's a bit shiny and new there.
He does look a little bit too clean. And where are his little arms? Come on, that's the really
can you imagine if them just come out and start spinning, he's whack some kid in the face, womp womp, take someone's eye out.
But that's the cool thing about Chopper. And I don't know if I've been watching it too long, or whether they've just kind of changed his dialogue a little bit in Ahsoka. But I felt like I understood him better. I was like,
in Ahsoka, it's voiced by what's he called? Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni is the one that does all the noises for Chopper. Yeah, he did them. He kind of did them in the TV series, but he's been doing them a lot more for this one. You can tell it's him a mile away now. When you hear it, yeah, it's just him with womp, 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 and then just putting synth on it.
Now you've said that.
Chopper always sounds like he's swearing to me. I'm sorry. He always sounds like he's flipping someone off.
Yeah.
Oh dear. There's a bunch of other stuff I've not really got pictures for. I'll just run through them really quickly and then we can move on. But Asher from the Disney's upcoming Wish movie is going to be coming to Epcot and Disneyland this week. The Hatbox Ghost will be officially joining the Haunted Mansion in Magic Kingdom in November 2023 for the first time ever. Cool. The Country Bear Jamboree has got a new poster and is coming out with a whole new presentation. Doesn't say anything about how they're going to do it yet. I'm quite scared about that one because I love that stupid animatronic show. And they're probably going to take away all the offensive stuff, which is going to upset me.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a bit weird now when you take your kid and you realize you sat there singing "Every guy that turns me on turns me down," and you sort of go, "No, that's wrong." And a bit of blood on the sand. So they're going to update the songs because they're a little bit outdated since 1950.
Yep, got to move with the times.
There's been a new ride vehicle shared for the third attraction coming to the Avengers campus at Disneyland. So there's going to be it's going to be a multiversal experience. Not sure what the hell that means, but it means they're crossing multiverses. So sounds Spider-Man-y to me, that.
I think it's going to be more Disney Plus.
Ooh, that could be cool.
I think that's what it'll be. It'll be a case of being able to jump from one thing to the other.
Okie dokie. Disney's working with Chevrolet to completely reimagine Test Track. Will have its own original World of Motion.
Sweet.
The Disney Signature Experience in the Bahamas will be welcoming new guests in June of next year. Lookout Cape Point as a part of the cruise lines. And the final kind of thing was the Zootopia will be taking over the Tree of Life Theatre and kicking out Bugs Life. Thank God for that. They've been there far too long. There's a show in Florida called It's Tough to Be a Bug. It's a god-awful 3D show where you wear little glasses and the bugs come out the screen and scare you because, it's tough to be a bug. So that's finally going and it's going to be replaced with Zootopia.
I went to Florida last in, I want to say 19, maybe just before COVID kicked in. And it felt outdated then.
Yeah, it's well outdated. It's been there since I were a kid when I first started going on about 11. It's been there a long time. And then the final announcement was, and I'm sure everyone will agree, it's been a Florida Dino Land USA in Animal Kingdom is atrocious. They had that awful dinosaur ride, which was nobody ever saw. Let's be honest, it was a crap movie. And they made a whole theme around it, like a dodgy theme parky bit. That's all been good. That's gone now. And they're going to replace it. Oh, yeah. They're replacing it with Encanto. So we're going to get a new Encanto themed ride.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I didn't mind the dinosaur film. It wasn't my favorite Disney film at all. But I have watched it a couple of times when my boys were like dinosaur obsessed and we were just scrolling through different films to watch. So it's not bad, but it is bad.
Oh, mate, the ride is atrocious. The film is okay. The ride is atrocious.
No, the ride was so bad. So bad. So that is Like the fact that Encanto isn't in there already is criminal. Like how they haven't done that already. But yeah, that would be cool. That would be a cool.
Yeah,
change.
that dinosaur attraction. It's that stupid pre-show where the scientist guy's like, I'm gonna get you guys locked on just before the meteor hits, and you're gonna bring this dinosaur back. And then that voiceover from that woman goes, "You better not do that. No, I won't do that. We're totally doing it." And like, oh my god, like how 90s is this? Yeah, and it's that guy from CSI as well, the guy that played the I forgot his name, the guy that did the lab stuff.
Yeah, I can't remember.
He was the actor in it as well. It's like, oh, this is so bad.
Yeah, it's how gutted would you be though? If that was you, like if you had been like in a video in Disney for like 20 years, and now you find out from a press release that they're pulling it. Oh,
he's had a good run. He's been there since the 90s. He's had a damn good run.
Yeah, so that's a long time that he's been there.
Yeah. So that was the D23 big news stuff. We're still waiting on, because it's still going on right now. You got to think they're 6 hours behind. So I mean, it's still going on. It's not finished. And the Disney animation panel is this evening. So there'll probably be some more news coming out later on tonight.
Yep. How is the writer's strike and stuff affecting trailer releases and things like that? Is it having an effect?
I don't think so. It doesn't seem to be. Trailers seem to be coming out thick and fast. A lot more indie trailers are dropping. There's a lot of indie horror movies coming out this October, and they're all getting trailers left, right, and center.
Yeah.
So I've not really noticed any big budgety stuff getting trailers. Although we've got Godzilla, but that's from Asia. That's not from America. That new 1-1 Godzilla trailer.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh my god, go watch it. It's amazing. So the remaking Godzilla. Well, we're getting 2 Godzillas, aren't we, really? We're getting this new -1 Godzilla, which is a movie coming out from Japan. Looks amazing. And then we've got the some Lost Monsters Kingdom or something. It's like a TV series that's coming out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the TV series, as Andy's just said, has dropped today, and that looks good as well.
Well, the trailer for it dropped today.
The trailer for the TV series, has dropped, and it looks really good.
I'll have a look at that.
But yeah, you need to, if you've not watched the -1 trailer, that is like it's classic. It's the classic Godzilla movie getting remade, basically.
Amazing.
So Godzilla's he's actually radioactive, and it's set in World War II, like post World War II, Japan. Looks incredible. Really cool.
I didn't even hate the 90s version. Just putting it out there, I even like that.
It's got its place in my childhood.
The thing
even down to them, all chewing gum because it makes us look more American.
Yeah, Godzilla for me holds quite a special place in the respect that when I was much younger, we're talking about VHS and all that kind of stuff, and I lived in Southeast London, and there was a market down there. If anyone, like I've talked about East Street Market before, going down East Street Market and stuff, and there was always a couple of stalls there that had a couple of videos, and so I had a lot of stuff in my collection that my parents had bought me that were obviously from the market. That, as a parent, that's a real roulette, like buying a video off the market and then letting your kids watch it, because it could have been anything. But I had a few of the Godzilla films, like the original. Like they were like dubbed. There was one that had like subtitles, but it was obviously had been like, back in the day you used to be able to put a VHS if you had 2 VCRs.
Oh, tape to tape.
Yeah, you could put one in one and record it on the other, like proper piracy at its best. And they were clearly done like that because it would fast forward on its own and rewind and stuff like that. But I watched those things over and over and over and over and over again, and just absolutely loved them. And I think that's where my fascination with the kind of big monster movies, like I will watch anything if it's a big monster movie. If there's an oversized monster of some sort, I know I'll watch it and I'll enjoy it regardless of how rubbish it is. So Godzilla for me, the fact that there is so much Godzilla stuff coming out and been coming out has been great. It's just been so much fun. But I did not realize that there was a Godzilla TV show and a Godzilla film. So I've learned something tonight.
Yeah, and it's the fact that the Monarch Legacy of Monsters obviously is it looks it looks decent and it's by Legendary, so it's in keeping with the more modern stuff we're used to. Whereas then you've got the -1 trailer, which is the original sort of Godzilla look, and they've kind of like remastered that traditional look. So there's two very different versions of Godzilla coming out, which is so cool, really. But yeah, I think this Monarch thing, I think that's, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like that's more in like doing more for the MonsterVerse, like King Kong and stuff like that. I think that's all in keeping with that stuff they've been doing, I think.
Yeah.
From what I've seen. But yeah, I'm looking either way. It's big monsters attacking Tokyo. I'm there.
Yeah, definitely. Alex said about Five Nights at Freddy's as well. Have you been watching the trailers drop on that one?
Yeah, I'm getting excited for it. It's not long now.
Yeah, I was, but I don't know if it's going to live up to the quality of the one with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, right, okay.
Like that was, I rewatched that again recently, and I was like, this is actually insanely brilliant as a Five Nights at Freddy's.
They really shouldn't, like, Five Nights should have sued the crap out of that when that came out, and they didn't. Scott Cawthon didn't do a thing.
But there must be some copyright issue that they didn't. Like,
well, I suppose you can't copyright because technically it's based on Chuck E. Cheese in America, isn't it? It's based on Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
So it's animatronics in a pizzeria. So I suppose they can't really copyright that concept because Chuck E. Cheese technically has the concepts for that.
Yeah.
So as long as it's a film and it's not called Freddy and they don't look like Freddy, they can't really do anything about it.
No, and obviously the intellectual property, if you like, of Five Nights at Freddy's is a computer game. So they're making a movie based on. It's almost like they got there first. How weird would it be if what was it called? What was the
Willy's Wonderland?
Willy's Wonderland. What if Willy's Wonderland actually sues Five Nights at Freddy's for copying their movie?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Scott Cawthon just saw that and went money, because he's very, very, very good at taking these same 5 or 6 animatronics and made them look so different for so much different merch over the years, and it's still going and kids are still buying it, and we're talking nearly 7 years later.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he saw that Willy's Wonderland went, that's a potential crossover in the future. Yeah. Just bring that Nicolas Cage character into the Five Nights universe, and then all the animatronics and stuff from that universe could just cross over.
Yeah.
It'd be so simple, wouldn't it?
It would be a run of films, wouldn't it? Like you could have the crossover where the Cage characters at Five Nights at Freddy's or something, and then a crossover where there's the animatronics versus the animatronics, then a crossover where they're all like teamed up and they're all doing something. Like you could go mad with the crossovers,
mate. Well, everything you've just said, I can more or less, I can hear Image Comics writing down very quickly what you've just said. Image Comics are going to have that out within the year. They're just finishing up on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Stranger Things. They need a new crossover. That's going to be it. Willy's Wonderland versus Five Nights. Speaking
of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, have you watched Mutant Mayhem?
No, still not around it.
Mate, watch it. Watch it. It has reignited the childhood obsession with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for me. Like there is something so, because it's modernized and they talk about modern things, but it is so good. It's hard to say how or why. It's just brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. Very much in the style of the Spider-Verse kind of animation, like that flat 3D kind of animation, if that makes sense.
See, I'm going to say something now that could be probably considered sacrilege, but I'm going to say it. I was a fan of the cartoons. I watched them growing up. I much preferred the live action movies.
Oh,
I know a lot of people are like, I love those stupid things.
You know what? I was a huge fan of the movies, but I just thought that the movies were a natural progression. Like it felt very much like the same thing to me. I grew up watching the cartoons.
I've got a friend that. Sorry, man. I would say I've got a friend that to this day, when we get a pizza, we look at each other and go, "Nam nams, nam nams." It's a thing we do to this day. We've done it since we were 7 years old. And today, if I bought a pizza and took it to his house, he would look at me and go, "Nam nams." It's one of them things. It's stuck with us for years.
Andy H. blocks Sorrell on all social media. Joby One just said, "Go Ninja, go Ninja, go," which is obviously the Vanilla Ice.
Go, Ninja, go.
But this is why, right? There's this fight scene in it, and they get thrown into a car and they hit a stereo, and that comes on. it's so good, and it's just things like the little nods as well. Like the high school is called Eastman High School. Like it's just like little things. And the bit that I was about to say, and Stuggers beat me to it, is Jackie Chan voicing Splinter is like the perfect casting for that film. Like there is something so good about Splinter being Jackie Chan. I don't know why, but the refreshing element of it being like teenagers actually voicing it, and they sound like teenagers and they act like teenagers, and I don't know, it's just I think it just kind of reignited my obsession with what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was and is.
Mate, people forget that Jackie Chan's a voice actor as well as a stunt actor. He voices a lot of the films we know and love for Chinese audiences. Like he was the voice of the bunny rabbit in Pets, that Pets movie that Universal. Yeah. He was the voice of that rabbit in China. And my favorite voice that he did, which is so much better if you watch it in the Chinese dub, by the way, the original Disney's Mulan. You know the cartoon?
Yep.
Jackie Chan is the voice of Shang, the male film.
Is he?
Male thing. Oh yeah. And he even does the singing voice for it as well. He does the singing for it instead of... So you get a whole different frigging version of the film.
Amazing.
And his version is so much better.
Shelley said there, how comes they are called Ninja Turtles again and not Hero Turtles? This is an interesting one. So they were called Hero Turtles over here in the UK because when it was brought over here in the UK, I think it was someone like Margaret Thatcher or someone like that. It was somebody that was in power, didn't like the idea of the something being called Ninja Turtles. It made it sound more violent. So it was changed to Hero Turtles for our audience. So there was always the two versions, but it depended on where you watched it or read it or whatever. But yeah.
What did your VHS say?
What do mine?
Yeah,
I can't remember what mine said.
I remember this specifically because I remember this whole argument as a kid because I was lucky enough that my dad he went like what you were saying, went to markets and went to computer fairs and that kind of thing, and I had dodgy copies of everything, or like people would have a tape, like the tape to tape thing, and people would pass VHSs around, and you'd end up nicking them over the years, like kind of like re-recording them and stuff, and I had the American one. So I had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I went to a friend's house and it was the same theme song, but Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. And there's a slight, you can hear it. There's a slight difference. Hero, it goes up. It's weird. And I remember like, why is your VHS wrong? Why is your copy wrong?
There we go. I've literally just Googled it because I wanted to check my facts. I like things to be factual. And it doesn't say specifically who it was, but Wikipedia, not the most reliable source, but their thing does say in the United Kingdom and some of the European regions, the franchise was renamed Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles for the violent connotations of the word ninja. The first Turtles video game was released for the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1989, the first of several developed by the Japanese company Konami. Konami? How do you say that? Konami. What? Konami, what?
Konami.
Konami.
You know about the company Konami?
Konami, yeah.
Konami.
What did I say? Konami.
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 Konami. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. There we go. So that's what it was. That is why it was. And I don't know if it was Margaret Thatcher, but I remember somebody telling me once, oh yeah, it was Margaret Thatcher. But I can't imagine the Prime Minister of England being able to change the name of an animated show about martial art trained mutant turtles.
Because that was the thing back in the day. That's why all of the cartoons had to have them stupid endings that we had. Where it was like, like He-Man would always end with, "Today we learned all about the power of sharing."
Yeah.
And the Turtles was no different.
Always be kind.
Yeah, it would always end on something weird like Raphael took performance-enhancing pizza in this episode. Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. You know what? And until Shelley mentioned it, I kind of forgot that it was Hero Turtles in that comic, in the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Hero Turtles, Ninja Turtles. So it's not one of those like Mandela effects or whatever people talk about. Like there was a legitimate reason us people in the UK got it as Hero Turtles because us Brits deemed Ninja to be too violent. But, you know, then a few years later gave us the Power Rangers. So, you know, hey ho.
Oh dear.
There you go. And G.I. Joe was renamed Action Force over here because it was too American. But yeah, there we go. But no, as I, you know, going back to it, Mutant Mayhem, and it was cool to have a film that wasn't focused around Shredder, Krang, Kang, the foot soldiers, like all that kind of stuff. You know, it was just kind of a refreshing new take on it. April is completely different. She's a young girl from high school. Like it's like a wannabe journalist, and it all just felt a little bit more like a nice modern spin on it, but something really wholesome and original and similar to what we had before, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's a whole different story. It's like they're a lot younger in this one as well, aren't they?
They're what? Sorry.
They're a lot younger as well in this one. Like the ones we had as kids, you couldn't really tell what age they were meant to be, but they were clearly a bit older than what they are in this one.
They were older teens, weren't they?
Yeah.
It was, you know, back in the 80s and early 90s, most teenagers on screen were in their late 20s playing teenagers, whereas they are teenagers. I think they're supposed to be like 15, 16 in this, but they are typical kind of 15, 16-year-olds. But it's quite funny to watch it because it's based in modern day. Like there's things like, you know, to film things on their mobile phones and certain, like they talk about a lot of real life things. Like they talk about Avengers in it. Like they talk about the Hulk like taking selfies with people in a diner, and they're like, oh, do you know Mark Ruffalo improvised that whole scene? And they're like, oh yeah, he's just a gem. Like, you know, it's really odd, but yeah, it's really good.
Wow.
Definitely worth watching.
Yeah, the only thing I've got planned for this week is going to the cinema to see The Nun 2.
Yeah.
That's
pushing hard on the marketing on that. I'm seeing it everywhere. Like
the last Conjuring movie. That's why they're going to TV after this.
I've kind of given up on the Conjuring universe. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. Like the Nun film just didn't do it for me. I liked her in The Conjuring. I liked the in the Conjuring universe when she was we didn't know much about her.
Yeah.
And then when we got all this backstory and all that, it just, I don't know, it just became less scary. I think with some horror films, less is more.
Yeah.
And when you can kind of fill in the blanks yourself and your mind sort of fills in those blanks, it's kind of why like the Blair Witch 2 flopped. It was like, you know, you're trying to give us all these backstories as to what's going on. Like, just keep it vague, keep it, you know.
Every time someone says Blair Witch 2, I just see the weird CGI girl going backwards.
That
was terrible.
It was an awful film. It really was. I like the remake though. That
the remake's good.
Anyway, didn't it? I thought the remake was fantastic. But yeah, it never really went anywhere.
Yeah, so the Conjuring TV series, we don't really know much about it or where it's going. So I'm excited to see where it goes, especially after this film's another prequel to everything because it's set in the past.
Yeah.
But yeah, admittedly, the last Conjuring movie kind of killed off the scariness of the whole franchise, didn't it? With the Devil Made Me Do It, it was kind of a bit meh.
Yeah.
That was the most meh one I've ever seen. But no, the Conjuring 1 and 2 are still up there as one of my favorite movies, and everyone hated this. Annabelle Comes Home. Everyone hated that movie. I think that's the best one of the franchise. I think that's an amazing movie. I like the campiness of it. I like the cheesiness, the campiness, all the weird little. Because like the idea of her being a conduit to bring ghosts out, they should use that more. Because I liked in that movie that everything in the house that had a ghost attachment came up, and that those three girls in the house were being haunted by everything. That was awesome. Like that scene where the bride runs at her with the knife, that still makes me jump every single time.
Yeah. What was the film? I can't remember the name of it now. But it wasn't in the Conjuring universe, but it was, I think it was Ethan Hawke. It might not have been Ethan Hawke. But they move into a new house and there's all the videotapes up in the loft.
Oh yeah, that's Sinister.
Sinister. See, I thought that was a fantastic film. Like, a really good film, and I expected that to kind of go somewhere, but they didn't do a sequel, did they?
The Sinister 1 and 2, isn't there? I think there's a couple of Sinister movies.
Oh yeah. No, there is Sinister 2. You're right. I'm sure there is, but it didn't become like a bigger thing. I thought that there was going to be a lot more to it.
No, it's one of those Blumhouse movies that it's.
See, I know my horror films. Sorrel, I know my horror.
It's kind of one of them Blumhouse movies that they've kind of like that is another face that they've now put into their kind of like archive. If you look at Blumhouse, they own all the modern monsters. They own them all. They've got Annabelle, they've got the Nun, they've got the Conjuring series, they've got, like you say, Sinister, they've got all of the Paranormal Activity movies. They've got a lot under their belt.
Yeah. They're just building up to like an Avengers Endgame-esque horror movie crossover where it's like the demon plane where like everything is just fighting everything.
Do you not see the who's Blumhouse's next killer thing, like the big thing that was going around this week?
No.
So Blumhouse put a teaser out saying who will be Blumhouse's next killer, and they basically showed all the there was like a scene where this girl went to a door and opened it, and the killer was behind the door, and they put the guy from Sinister in there. They put like the guy from the Conjuring universe in there. They put all these weird people behind the door, and then on the last day they showed off the new killer, and it's called the Sweet 16 Killer. And it's like a blonde wig with a big smiling face and stuff.
That's cool.
I'll get a picture for you. Because it was really cool. It was a very good marketing campaign by Blumhouse. Because they're showing off how much they have.
Oh really?
Yeah, they were flexing their muscles of how much they own a lot of the horror modern world now. Speaking
of horrors, while we're on that subject, have you seen Tusk?
I haven't seen Tusk. I've seen the announcement for it. Is it out already? Is that what you mean?
No, I don't think it's out, is it?
Oh, yeah, about just the trailer. Yeah, the trailer with the. It looked weird. That.
Yeah, but a lot of people are kind of talking about that as a new kind of Human Centipede-esque kind of horror film.
Oh yeah, it looks very weird and disturbing.
The one that gets me though is. Was It Follows? Was that the one?
Yeah.
Is that the one that starts with the girl on the phone to the dad, and then it cutscenes and she's all like bent double on the beach?
Yes.
Yeah. See, that to me is a good horror film. If they can get me in that first opening bit, it's very reminiscent of what Scream did back in the day. Yeah, I found that one good. But then the problem is a lot of them kind of fall off by the end. That they're kind of like, it's not as exciting. Same as that, what was it? The Lights Out, was it? Which was based on that. Did you ever see that short film that they did on YouTube?
Lights Out? Are you on about the one about the house near me?
No, the one where when you turn the light out and the ghost woman moves in the darkness. So when
I've never seen that one. I've not seen that.
Have you not? So it was based on look at me educating you on horror. Sorry, come on. But no, there was a short film, like literally like a 30-second kind of jump scare film made on the internet, like a fan home movie or whatever, it's student film, whatever. And it was basically a woman sitting in her bed and the door's sort of like there and you can see all the way down the corridor. And she's sort of getting around and sorting herself out for nighttime. And she turns the light off and there's a figure at the end of the hall, so she turns the light back on and it's gone. And she's like, oh, that's weird, sort of thing. And then she turns the light out and it's closer up the hallway, and so she turns it back on again and she's like, and then she's getting a bit freaked out and all that kind of stuff. And then she turns the light out again and it's like literally in the doorway of the room, so she turns it on straight away and all that kind of stuff, and then turns the light out and it's all kind of whatever it is. And then she leans over in bed and turns her like bedside light on, and then this figure's like by her bedside cabinet and screams, and that's it. And then they made a feature-length film out of that concept, and the film was like crap. Like compared to that like 3-minute long short film, it just wasn't as good. But hey ho.
So there he is. Okay. There's the new killer. It's the Sweet 16 Killer.
It looks a little bit purgy to me.
Yeah, it looks weird. But again, if it depends on the story, but if they keep it very, you don't know much about it, it's more scary that way. Like you say, I like not knowing.
I mean, there's elements of Scream, that it's obviously somebody under the mask. You don't know who it is, so there's a lot riding on it there.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of plastic face looking thing for me just is the Purge. I think they really overdone that kind of mask and normal people knocking on your door like it's but it's I mean it's quite freaky looking.
Yeah, we'll cause that.
Yeah. And that's the new Andy H said it looks like a young Donald Trump. That's scary enough though, to be perfectly honest, yeah. Sweet 16 killer, aka teenage Trump year. Yeah.
He wouldn't be able to kill you because he got small hands.
Yeah. Shay said if that looked in my window, I'd die of heart failure. Yeah. Fair play. But yeah. What's going on next week? We got much coming on next week?
Hope so. But we'll have to see what comes out. There's nothing kind of like pegged for like that week. We'll just have to see what happens, and hopefully have something to talk about next week.
So I mean, there's no big convention coming out. There's no.
No, we got a couple of weeks till the next big like convention stuff. So it'll be another quiet week thing, but we should have that epic like next chapter in Ahsoka to talk about.
Yeah,
see where that goes.
That will definitely be it. And I'll tell you what, as there's nothing major penned for next week, let's commit to the fact that next week we'll either have a special guest or we'll do a giveaway.
Yeah,
one of the two. So if we've got a guest joining us, we won't do the giveaway. If there's no guest joining us, we'll do a giveaway. That sounds pretty
good.
Cool, right? Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. On a side note, I am definitely of the mindset now where I'm going to strip back some of this collection.
I did that a little while ago. I've never looked back.
I've literally been thinking about it all week since we discussed it last week. And I think this week I'm actually going to go through and strip back some of it. Andy H has said the guest will be Ryan. It won't be. It won't be. But yeah, I'm definitely going back. I'm stripping back. I'm at the stage now. And you know what the deciding factor for me was this week is that I haven't had that Hydra Stomper wave yet. But the last 3 waves of figures that I've got, the last 4 waves of figures I got aren't in my cabinet. They're literally next to me in a box there.
Wow.
That I haven't been able to put them into my cabinet because I haven't had time to move it around. But I'm also, so it's just kind of like, you know what's the point? What is the point? So I am stripping back and I'm going to do some mega sales on some of the groups. Like this isn't an advert. It's not an advert in any way, shape or form, but I'm going to do some decent sales and just shift some of it and replace it with a few of these bigger ones. Just because, hey, why not? Shelley summed it up. Ryan's probably on holiday. Quite possibly throwing shade at him. He's not even here. You got anything due this week?
No, everything for me arrived last week. I had a lot of stuff arrive last week, but no, it's a quiet week for me. I'm just having a look behind me. I say quiet week. I've got loads of stuff. But,
Andy H has just tagged you and said, "Sorrel, is that a phishing post?" No, it's not. It's just me committing to what I said last week. Oh yeah, I saw this on your video.
Yeah,
I saw a video on this, Tom.
Look forward to
he is
him
cool.
Out.
He is very cool.
It's that pumpkin head.
Oh, he is very cool.
So yeah, I can't wait to review him.
There's something very, very awesome about a kind of neon blue skeleton.
Yep. And the first Star Wars thing I've bought in months.
Yeah. That's
C1 monster.
Yeah,
got to keep adding to the droid collection.
That's to be done. On a really random side note, but it's Halloween related, and we're obviously getting up to Halloween. We will have a Halloween special. There's no 2 ways about it. We always tend to, don't we? So we will do a big Halloween special. But for any Nightmare Before Christmas fans, have you noticed all of the Nightmare Before Christmas merch landing in all the local shops?
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
as Primark, like all of those shops, like just tons of clothing, tons of kind of everything from bath mats to light bulbs to hanging decorations and that kind of stuff. So if you're a fan of Nightmare Before Christmas, just do a Google search because there is tons of stuff. And because my youngest son is a massive fan, we have got very full baskets of Nightmare Before Christmas stuff.
Well, it's because we are in the 30th anniversary year.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It's a big one for him, isn't it? So there's going to be a lot of merch here. And normally, a lot of this merch that you're looking at drops overseas, and then we don't really see it over here. Whereas for the first time, like, I sound like I just realized that's like a Disney thing. Isn't it? For the first time in forever, we're getting all this stuff released over here, and like some of these stuff were released in Spirit Halloween, but as the George has got the thing over here, the contract for it.
Yeah.
So we're seeing some of the stuff that you would normally only see in America sort of starting to drop in the UK.
We've already ordered our family matching pajamas for Christmas, and they are all NXB, MBX related.
Before we wrap up, I have to show you something.
Go for it. The only thing I've got coming this week while we're on that thing is I should have the next 5 pieces of my Builder Optimus Prime. Yeah. Andy H has said that he's just suspended me for my fishing comments. Fair enough. Was that Wolfman?
I finally got him.
Don't tell me you bought it.
Mate, I wanted some more for the channel because I'm a little bit of a view whore, and I saw that they were getting like 3,000 hits a video, so I'm like, I'm gonna buy some more, and I thought I still need the wolf anyway, so I just bought a bunch more.
Just for clarification, I messaged Sorrel and was like, dude, I've got a duplicate wolf, just send me a new address and it's yours. And then like never even mentioned it again, and I was like, I know why he's not mentioned it, because he's clearly going to buy more of these things. And if I send him the piece he needs, technically he doesn't have to. So I completed it. I did complete the series though.
Yeah, today at Comic-Con, I helped out so many people complete their collections because obviously I've opened so many of the stupid things trying to find him.
Yeah.
I think I've opened about 30, I'm not going to lie. And basically I've got all my money back because basically what we do is I'll buy all these blind boxes like I do. But then once I've opened them, I take them to Comic-Con with me, and other people that are like me that do mystery bags come to my stall and buy them at cost. So I get my money back, and I can put that back into funding more videos. But like people have been coming to my stall religiously for Lego minifigures now for a few months because I had the Disney ones last month, and so people have been coming to me regularly now for minifigures.
I personally don't have a problem with that at all. Like if I'm collecting them, I would quite happily buy them opened off of someone if I knew what I was buying. It's fun. Like when a series first comes out, I will always buy like a handful because it's fun going through them and opening them all up. But me and my boys went out and we bought a handful. I think we probably bought about 10 of them in one go, and I think we got 1 double or 2 doubles in the whole thing, and we got like 8 or 9 of the whole set in the first drop. So I was kind of like, but then I kind of get to the stage where I'm like, right, well, if I buy 5 and they're all doubles, that's 5 down the pan. Like at the moment, I'm good. I'm kind of like 8 for 10, But yeah, I completed it. Beast was the last one I was chasing, and I managed to get him. So they are all in my Lego mini frame, which I haven't put up.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm getting the next 5 parts, I think it is, of my Builder Optimus Prime from Fan Home, and I'm actually really enjoying it. It's not a bad like subscription service. $10.99 a hit though. I'm not sure I would. I mean, obviously,
episodes.
Yeah, I mean, like for all clarification, like Fan Home sending it to me to put on my channel, so I'm quite happy to open them up, build it, share the videos, and that kind of stuff. Like $10.99 is a lot to drop, like especially when you're getting like 5 or 6 issues a month. But I'm very excited. It's building up very slowly. So far, I've got a foot, a head, and a little bit of chest, and it's like this huge, intricate kind of lights and sounds thing. But yeah, we'll see. They might turn up.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. All right, no, I think we'll wrap it up there then. Let's call it a week. We have got next week episode 117. we said that this was going to be D23 special. We've touched on D23, but there will definitely be a few D23 things to mention next week because, as you say, we've got the animation panel going on at the moment. So we'll touch on that maybe at the beginning of the next show. And yeah, we'll do a guest or a giveaway.
Yeah, I'm up for that. That sounds good.
Guest or a giveaway next week. Let's do that. Cool. Anything you want to add before we round up, Sorrel?
Have a nice week.
Keep it geek.